Hundreds of delegates, dozens of chapters, multiple tendency-based caucuses, one message. So, while this cool flipping travel montage plays, I'm going to explain what exactly is going on here. DSA, or Democratic Socialists of America, is the largest nominally socialist organization in the United States, having just recently passed 100,000 members. YDSA, or Young Democratic Socialists of America, is the mostly independent youth/campus wing of this organization. I'm going with my school's chapter to the National YDSA Conference in Chicago, where organizers from across the country are joining to share experiences, debate strategy, and take home new lessons in the fight for socialism. The conference is one of YDSA's annual national gatherings, focused on training and developing young socialist organizers and building roots in struggle. Unlike other anti-capitalist organizations, DSA and YDSA have a broad-based model that encourages internal debate and diversity of thought. There are several different caucuses in the organization that represent different tendencies across the left-wing spectrum, and I met members of several at this conference. I interviewed members of Bread and Roses, Marxists zeroed in on rank-and-file labor organizing, Reform and Revolution, Trotskyists emphasizing a break from the Democrats, forming a socialist party, and supporting labor organizing, and Springs of Revolution, cross-tendency anti-Zionists united around transforming DSA into a revolutionary mass political force. I also met, but was unable to interview, members of Constellation, bureaucrats looking to improve YDSA's central organizing structures, Marxist Unity Group, Marxists agitating towards splitting from the Democrats and uniting DSA under a revolutionary program, and Liberation Caucus, Marxist-Leninist Maoists advocating against chauvinism and reformism and for cadre building and people's war. There are many more DSA caucuses from many different tendencies that I did not run into because I only had so much time, so I'm sorry about that if your caucus didn't get mentioned. What's interesting is that most people I met weren't actually part of a caucus, which you'll see in this video. Let's get into day one of the YDSA conference, where I took a few hours of our Socialists social to do some interviews. What is your YDSA chapter up to?
So I'm from the University of Oregon YDSA. I've been a member for 4 years. Recently, like this week, we just won our campaign to get medication abortion provided on campus at the University Health Services. We also have our labor union. We have a labor union, Dual Student Workers, affiliated with United Auto Workers. We just came off of a contract cycle, had a 11-day strike, and we're working on building up our membership base now, building power as workers at the university.
So what is your YDSA chapter up to?
Our YDSA chapter is up to building people power through ISWAT's trainings, Fourth Amendment workplace trainings, and otherwise anti-ICE trainings to really mobilize people when it's necessary to where it's necessary and get people more involved in the community.
Has there been an ICE presence at the school?
In November and December, there was a huge ICE presence that came to Charlotte, and then an offshoot of that came to Raleigh. And actually, the strength of our rapid response network in North Carolina, it was actually so strong that ICE ended their operations in Charlotte months earlier than they anticipated. They ended it after a couple weeks rather than a couple months.
Should DSA split from the Democratic Party?
I think yes, at some point, definitely. Ideally soon. I think there's a growing tension between traditional Democrats, especially, and Democratic leadership, and DSA members running as Democrats that just cannot be rectified. And especially with Zoran, like the lack of faith in his campaign entirely from the Democrats, and then after he won, it was like, we were with you the entire time. No, you weren't. You were never with them at any point. And Democratic Party leadership, like, it's such a hazy thing.
It's completely undemocratic.
I don't think the Democratic Party is the future of the organization. I think that, we should start building a framework to have a farmer labor party or a working families party, or, start moving with a different party that aligns with our values more.
Should DSA split from the Democratic Party?
at some point, yes. Split is kind of a big term. I don't think it's an appendage of it at the moment. I think it can have a tendency to tail them. But I think that, at some point, differentiating ourselves as a political organization is just an inevitability.
What's it going to take for that to happen?
When will that happen? When they stop letting our candidates win their primaries. I recently saw something that said, like, DSA's biggest growth, things happening. Winning electoral victories, bad shit happening. So when we win in cities like New York and, we call that a DSA victory, people join us because they see us doing shit. Also, elected officials have a certain amount of control over the state apparatus and can improve the immediate, material and social conditions of people. If there's a general rising, or let's say some fucking Nazis are up to some bullshit, and socialists control the state, they are capable of utilizing the state apparatus in a limited capacity to defend themselves. Now, that's not an end, but a means to stop the bleed, to hurt less,
What do you think of people that say that DSA grows when DSA wins in the Democratic Party?
I think that's true. I think it's a true thing, but I also think DSA does really, really well at especially a local level, right? And local politics are very important, and state politics are very important. And I think if we're going to start breaking, those are the places we need to start breaking it. Don't run as a Democrat at the state level or lower. We get a lot of popularity from national races, but when you want to start building public trust at a local level or a state level, you start running those candidates and building up a party structure from the very, 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 very bottom. I think we need to start breaking, and that's just actions that you have to take with elected officials at local and state levels where it's easy, and then higher positions like at the federal level, big ticket races like in Chicago or in New York, where there's a little more eyes on you. Maybe you need that a little bit for legitimacy's sake, and then eventually you can just completely break it.
Okay. Whew, day one, what a doozy. We really got a lot of different perspectives there. I mean, there was the people who were very adamant about sticking with the Democratic Party and using it as a base building tool. But then there's also the people who were like, we need to split from the Democrats. So it's really, really strange. That was the main argument. I think people were pretty aligned, in terms of okay, what are chapters doing? Which, I mean, it has been established through programs like their national convention programs, especially around sanctuary campuses. I think every single person I talked to today had something that they were doing to combat ICE, which was really, really promising to me. But I think there's a lot more to go there in terms of strategy, and I think I'll ask more questions about that tomorrow. The rest of this video should hopefully prove to you that it is useful to join DSA or YDSA or some other mass party socialist project. But, if you're still on the fence for whatever reason, drop your opinions in the comments, because I'm only hearing from people in YDSA right now. So it would be interesting to see what are people's reasons for not being a part of YDSA, because it's only YDSA members here. We aren't getting that other perspective of why do people choose other options. Really, just leave me down below. Say why, because I am curious about why more people aren't part of YDSA and why there's other sort of leftist youth organizations, which I don't disagree with, by the way. I think other leftist youth organizations are great, but I am curious as to the differences and why people have joined those versus joined YDSA. What your personal reasoning is behind this. Just let me know down below. Leave a comment, bro. Alright, here for day 2 of the conference. Got my Arizona with me. And we're gonna change the questions up a bit today. Anyway, see you guys there.
Here, got my food. Lucky, I'm really sad because there's no sauce. I don't know who these people think they are. They're not giving us any sauce. I don't know what they think they're doing. Why they did this. Who's responsible. But I'm really hungry, so I'm gonna eat anyways. So.
How is your chapter connecting with groups off campus?
So if you're already at the school and you want to connect with organizations off campus, you sort of need to remove your YDSA hat and go visit what these groups are doing and just introduce yourself as a person and say hello, my name is Addie. I'm really interested in what you're doing, and I also go to this school, but I just want to get to know you guys first. And then if you're friends with all these people, it becomes much easier to plan actions together, to lean on other groups for support. They can come over to your school and do trainings on your campus. You can go to them and just attend their meetings. I think we also have a lot to learn from like random adults too, who maybe like are not tapped into YDSA, but are doing like good work in their communities as well. And this is like really wide ranging, and these are people who might not all be doing direct action, but sometimes there are people doing direct action. I don't know. Talk to like these like 70-year-old really wise people who like know everything about jail support. They actually can end up being so supportive of college organizing in a way that you might not expect initially. But yeah, you need to become friends with them first. So that's my take.
What is your chapter's long-term mission?
Yeah, for a while we were having a two-pronged kind of campaign approach with getting divestment and sanctuary campus demands on, and we're kind of pursuing that model, just in like different ways. Like for us, it's not necessarily the legal status of having a sanctuary campus that makes our campus a safe place or even a sanctuary for migrant or marginalized community folks. So we're actually trying to push forward a lot more transformative wins, whether that's through student government, by electing a slate and pushing forward student referendums, or by unionizing our housing RAs. We think that that's what actually creates a sanctuary space. So that's kind of our focus, especially with all the ICE action that's going on. It hasn't come to Louisville yet, but we just hosted or helped host a community defense training for students and for community to get them trained on what you can say, what you shouldn't do, what you shouldn't say. But yeah, that's kind of our focus.
Okay, follow up here. How does this mission support the struggle for socialism?
As socialists, we believe in the liberation of all oppressed peoples, workers, and everyone from the global south. So by advocating for creating sanctuary spaces on campus, we see the university as kind of a microcosm of the world outside of campus. So we hope that this organizing on campus can extend to the community. And a lot of our efforts have been not just in growing solidarity through education and by pushing forth our campaign at U of L, but also in the city. So we're hoping that as socialists, we can not only just apply little Band-Aid solutions through SGA or by calling for a protected legal status, but by winning transformative gains that actually give more material power to working people, to students, and to marginalized community members.
2028 is going to be a moment unlike any other, where the working class's consciousness has more potential than ever to be won over to our politics. To seize that moment, we have to ensure that the foundations we've built are strong and that the confidence of the working class has been earned. This confidence is earned by showing the working class that YDSA is a viable vehicle towards liberation. In 2028, we will continue to run campaigns, immerse ourselves in labor organizing, and double down on running committed cadre for electoral office. There are some concerns that the mass strike that Sean Fain and the UAW are calling for will be a dud. It will be nothing burger. But if we want it to be something burger, we have to start the foundations now. We have to start building those foundations now. In 2028, we'll also see the dreaded presidential election. We can seize that moment in 2028 across all levels of government. But to do so, we have to build YDSA into the party the working class deserves. In 2028, the working class will be at their most invested. We cannot fumble that bag. So let's continue in the trenches and let's win this class war together. Hasta la victoria para siempre. Gracias.
Just finished my first breakout room that we did. I went to a worker organizing committee. It was really cool. We talked about how to organize your workplace, basically, and went through this like slideshow. It was the Emergency Workers Organizing Committee. I'm going to put them on screen here. These guys are really cool. If you want to organize your workplace, if you are a worker and your job fucking sucks, then check these guys out. Hit them up, organize your workplace, do that shit, because honestly, what I learned there is organizing is not as complicated as it sounds. It is incredibly simple. It might be hard, but it's an incredibly simple process and easy to follow. And so don't let anyone tell you, it's too hard to do a union. Nobody will believe in it, because it's possible. It's totally possible, and you just need to get organized. What is socialism?
Socialism is when the workers can democratically control the means of production through things like co-ops, government services controlled by a government that actually represents the people, but just generally, yeah, workers' ownership of the means of production.
Okay. What do you think YDSA's role is in advancing the socialist fight?
Well, overall, DSA is focused on building up working class power outside of the classroom. We're focused on building working class power in the classroom. Basically taking the means of production from our universities and putting that into our hands. Running strong strategic campaigns to pressure our university and taking some of that power, typically reserved for board of trustees and the investors, and putting this into the hands of the students who actually go to this university.
How does that relate to the broader struggle? Like, how can YDSA get involved in the broader struggle?
Well, first of all, the campus isn't just its own thing. It's not just a bubble. It's a part of a broader community, which has many issues that YDSA can help. For example, since the university is very involved in housing, often a lot of students get pushed off campus, rising prices. Schools are huge landlords. Yep, students can help fight back through things like rent stabilization campaigns, through working to fight with student workers and such, and also doing a lot of international campaigns, supporting international causes people care about, pressuring things like increases in transportation from schools, which can help surrounding communities.
Okay, so with our campus, we are like the main political org on campus, so like everybody kind of looks towards us when it comes to like anything happening. And so since we've been working on our sanctuary campus campaign like since last year, it has like recently lit a fire under the ass of our AAUP chapter. And so now they're working on a bill trying to protect like students and professors and teachers and stuff like that on campus when it comes to handling federal law enforcement, which I think is like really dope. Because sometimes it's like a power struggle, or other orgs and chapters around us may be fearful of like the consequences that can come with standing up, but like they see us and kind of look towards us, and so when they see us do like actionable things, like pass things within our student government, which is something that we have done, it kind of encourages them to also meet the moment and do what they can to help out, and it's also been aiding in our coalition building, which has been great recently too.
Chicago, the city, was also a victim of a major ice surge last September and October. The so-called Operation Midway Blitz was horrific. It was exceptionally violent for the time. Minneapolis is an acceleration of what we saw in Chicago. There was a lot of spontaneous organizing at the neighborhood level. Some of our members got immediately involved in it. Our local DSA, Chicago DSA, is absolutely beloved, but it's a big city. They struggled to get integrated very quickly in some of the rapid response networks that we're forming. And I think that our unique opportunity as a YDSA chapter fighting for a sanctuary campus, rapid response is an integral part of that. Rapid response is an integral evolution of our sanctuary campaigns. So we held these trainings, we got people organized. When ICE came to our neighborhood directly, we chased them out. We had people on Halstead Street, which you might see if you're out and about on town, chasing them out of our local neighborhoods in an organized way. We were the largest group out there, and we responded hours faster than the actual university itself, which continually refuses to use its public safety system. DePaul is a radical campus, and it's our responsibility to carry that torch and continue to integrate ourselves with the city writ large. If you are fortunate enough to be at a chapter integrated into an urban area, you should be part of that urban area's radical framework.
I just did another breakout room, and it was a workshop on making healthy coalitions, which was really interesting. So there are basically five main tenets that they had. So the first one, to build a coalition, is to reach the working class more wide, and specifically like the youth more wide, not just like the leftists and whatever. So the second is allies. Don't collab with like fucking Democrats or the ACP or bullshit like that. And branch out really to like non-political groups like affinity groups and like just clubs for fun or whatever. Get those guys to join your coalition, especially if what you're doing is relevant to them. So if you're like doing an anti-ICE thing, get people from the fucking Latinx club. Include those people in your organizing. Don't exclude them. Tap into the base of disorganized, disengaged youth. And that's the purpose of these movements, is to sort of draw people in. And there's sort of two main goals with that. The first goal is win your campaign, get whatever you want to get accomplished. And the second one is build membership for your group, which I thought was really good. Third thing is political independence. Don't let other people co-opt your line.
We live in a society that teaches us to hate women. We live in a society that teaches us to hate black people. We live in a society that makes us think hating LGBTQ people or having these biases against them is normal and should be accepted. We live in a society that makes us think that making things accessible, whether it be language or for ability, is a privilege and not a right. How do you make people feel heard? How do you take back any of this and make it useful? You need real democratic deliberation in your chapters. That does not mean that a handful of core leaders who self-select go and bring a polished proposal for the stamp of approval of a chapter. It means that in your meetings that you have every week, you sit there and you make space for newcomers. It means engaging in real feminist process. And what that means is making it so that everyone in the space has an opportunity to step up, and the people who tend to take up the most space know to step back. And making that very clear at the beginning of your meetings every single time is one of the best ways to make sure that you are setting the tone from the jump.
I just finished the second day of conference. I was at the R&R breakout breakout room. R&R being Reform and Revolution. I wanted to go to a mug one, but unfortunately Marxist Unity Group did not have a thing there. But there were some mug people there, had some good conversation, but that to be frank, the organization kind of sucked, and also was way too short. So, take the bad with the good, but I do think they have a pretty good program. Definitely better than any of the other reformist caucuses. Despite being called Reform and Revolution, they're not reformists, they're revolutionaries, which is pretty based. So yeah, that was the second day conference. It was really good, really good. Lots of learning, lots of things going in this brain, this weird, fucked up Marxist brain. I like my silly hat. I'm here at this YDSA party thing that we're having. It's weird. I don't really like parties, but you know what? I'm having a good time chatting to people, chatting it up. We're at the train tracks. It's sick as fuck. And I'm still gonna ask people questions, and I'll get some video for you. And as you can see, it's snowing. It's a beautiful snow today or tonight. So let's go get some opinions of leftists on various issues that are important to the cause and stuff. What is your chapter doing to struggle for socialism?
We are trying to build systems of dual power. We're trying to build up a movement that is not just reliant on the enemy to achieve our goals. We have these goals of building a just and an equitable campus, of shrinking the board of trustees, of building a campus free of the shackles of bourgeois capitalism. And in order to do that, we can't just ask the administration over and over again to let us win. And we can't listen to them when they tell us that we won. What our chapter is doing is we are running rapid response networks. We are setting up decentralized methods of alerting students that ICE is near campus because our administration has told us that they don't want to do that. We are setting these dual power systems up so that we have a sustainable movement beyond what the bourgeois gives us permission to do, and the win conditions that they set. I spent a long time as an organizer in Memphis, and we were not really advancing the cause of socialism because all of the work we did with this organization called Tigers Against Pollution, this eco-socialist work, was reliant on the city council, it was reliant on big business, it was reliant on these concessions, and sometimes it wasn't winnable. Sometimes people just dragged their heels in the sand. Our chapter is trying to build an alternative to that. It's trying to build our own power that is reliant on nothing but the people around us and the comrades that we fight with.
Roll again, some pride, and the last fight let us say, the International unites the human race. Proletarians, some pride, and the last fight let us pay. International, unite the human race.
Alrighty guys, it's day 3. We're all fucking tired of the conference, unfortunately, but, you know, still day 3. Gonna ask people more questions and really get at why people choose YDSA. I'm gonna see you guys at the conference. We're gonna interview more people, go to more workshops, learn, and then go fucking home. Yeah. How to do effective explaining politics to people, which is, I mean, this is fucking my YouTube channel, so like I know this shit. But anyway, so we talked about like how to choose material, how to talk to people while not being like fucking aloof Marxist, talking in like jargon and shit, which is not bad. But I think like there are some people who talk like exclusively in jargon, and it can push people out and like make it hard for them to you know really get involved in chapter work. And I think there's some work to be done with that in my chapter. So we talked about how to do that with writing, about writing things, and then also with speaking and like going into tabling too, which I thought was really good. Because tabling is fucking key as a chapter. If you're part of a chapter, you need to do tabling. You always need new members because there's a huge turnover. I mean, at least for YDSA, there's a huge turnover because people graduate. You lose 25% of your membership every year. You need new people, and so you need to learn how to do tabling. We talked about different steps to like speaking to someone about your chapter or whatever, your program or your project. And this doesn't have to be just for YDSA. If you're part of something else, you should try and learn these tactics for organizing. Basically, when you're tabling, you'll get like 3 types of people. You'll get the interested people. You get the socialists. People who want to be part of something. And so you don't even have to do anything. You just say, hey, you want to do X action, you want to do Y thing. Like if you're doing shit, just invite them, plug them into the shit that you're doing. Get them at your meetings, get them in, get their contact info, get all that shit. For people who are skeptical, first you want to like agitate them on a specific issue in their life. Let's say you're at school and your dining hall fucking sucks. You run a dining hall campaign, run something for that. You know, say we want meal plans to roll over, or we want the option to be able to spend our money on grocery store or whatever. Like not the option to not just go to the fucking dining hall, because dining halls suck. You talk to people and you get their real interests. And like even if they're not a socialist, like by getting that real interest, you can then move to, okay, this is because of capitalism. Basically, that's where you get to. And if you can really reel someone in, this because you might just explain to them and they might just leave, and you know, at least you probably fucking radicalized that person, but who knows? Or you at least brought them to the path of radicalization. But what you can also do is explain what you're doing to change it and get them plugged in on that. So it can be not even like a socialist. It can just be some guy, and you can get them plugged in on your project. And gradually, you get that guy on your mailing list. You turn him socialist, bring him to the meetings, make him read theory, like, and that could be any. That's just the average Joe that walks up to you. You can get the average Joe to turn socialist. And then the third group is like people who are hostile, and so like, you know, you just want to try and disengage with them. This will be your anti-communists, your fascists coming in. Just disengage. Don't try to do a debate. Why do you think people should join YDSA or DSA?
Well, simply put, we're the best game in town. So this country's left has historically been sort of captured by the capitalist class to sort of launder it, to weaken it. You know, many of the, you know, nonprofit groups that you can think of as sort of being progressive, a lot of them are tied to foundations which, you know, are funded by billionaires, by the capitalist class, who we're supposed to be antagonistic against. YDSA and DSA is not that. We are our own organization. We're completely member-funded, internal democracy. That's really what attracted me to YDSA. We are genuinely antagonistic to the capitalist class. We do not have any ties to them. We are not funded by George Soros or Mark Cuban or whatever. We are our own organization, and that's not something that many other groups can say for themselves.
Why should people join YDSA?
I think people should join YDSA because I think that it's like the socialist organization that's building a real connection between the labor movement and the student movement right now. We've seen some of the largest union organizing in all of really, new like higher education labor organizing come out of YDSA-led campaigns. So I think, that people should join YDSA if they're serious about really bringing together the socialist movement, bringing together the student movement, bringing together the labor movement to fight for the better world that we deserve.
YDSA cannot just be something that stays on campus. We must build our student movement to be able to flow into our communities and to truly earn the mass in mass movement, and to even maybe become the youth wing of the Socialist Party. I'd like to ask chapters to consider how they can both work by themselves in their communities with their sanctuary campus campaigns and anti-ICE work, but also especially with your DSA chapters to bring our campaigns, whether anti-ICE, Palestine, clean air and water, into the community to make support for our communities and build the youth section of our movement to build better power to stand up to the forces of the Trump regime. A lot of these strategies can be such things as direct action and mutual aid, emergency planning, holding rallies in your city, holding panels in community spaces and libraries where you bring in experts about immigration-related activism. This also means getting involved in labor, please get involved in labor, where we can build up a youth socialist section of the labor movement that can hold strikes and can really shock the system and challenge power and hopefully, once again, stand up to the Trump regime. To build a mass movement, we must build a fighting, broad-based youth movement that can bring our campaigns and our work off campus, that will hold up our communities.
What is the future of YDSA?
YDSA lies at a crossroads today. The future of YDSA is to either fade away into one of the least memorable moments of student organizing that the United States had ever seen, at one of the most critical ruptures and junctions in the history of the United States. Or it could become not just the student wing, but the youth wing of a socialist party in the building of a mass workers' movement led by dedicated and lifelong socialists.
They have taken until billions that they never thought to